What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Doctor Who Classic Review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the first Doctor William Hartnell story, The Romans. Now, this one is one that I have seen before. It's a 4-part story, comes straight after The Rescue, which I reviewed a few weeks ago, probably like a month or so ago now. It's been a little while getting to this, but yeah, The Romans, I have seen it before. It was the second ever first Doctor story I saw, behind The Rescue, of course. And yeah, I had pretty fond memories of it from what I'd remembered from watching it about a year and a half ago. Well, yeah, about a year and a half ago now it would be. I remembered it being pretty good, so I was really interested to watch it again and see what I thought. But anyway, this is The Romans by Dennis Spooner. Italy, 64 AD. Enjoying a rare holiday with his companions, the Doctor takes Vicki to visit Rome, where he is mistaken for the musician Maximus Petulian. He finds himself obliged to perform for Nero or risk incurring the Emperor's wrath. In his absence, Ian and Barbara have been kidnapped from their villa. Separated and sold into slavery, they face a bleak future. Can they make their escape and find the Doctor before Rome is consumed by fire? So, yeah, pretty exciting little synopsis on the back of the DVD there. And yeah, basically, we're in Rome, or well, we're not in Rome for some of it, we're just outside of Rome, but a lot of it does take place in Rome itself, and obviously the Romans, so yeah, we're in Rome. And yeah, so let's start off as we always do with the cast. William Hartnell as the first Doctor, he's pretty good. I mean, you know, there's nothing too spectacular with him going on here. Of course, this is towards, you know, the beginning of season 2. Where the hell did I get 11 from? Season 2. And yeah, he's pretty good. I mean, there's nothing. He has a few funny little moments here and there. He has a great little fight scene, which we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, a little fight scene, which is really interesting. Seeing him doing that. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah, like I said, he has a few funny moments, a few more. This whole story is more of a comedic story, especially, you know, when you consider what other stories were around it. You know, in really the whole first Doctor's era, comedy wasn't really the big thing, whereas this was one of the more comedic episodes, which some people really like it for and some people don't like it for. Personally, I think it's a nice little change. I mean, you know, like I said, this was only the second William Hartnell story I ever saw, so it's kind of what I got used to start with, and then I've kind of changed from there with what I've watched prior. But, or afterwards, should I say. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. He has funny moments. He's pretty good on the whole. Jacqueline Hill as Barbara Riot. This is probably, out of the stories I've seen so far with Ian, Barbara in, this is probably my favourite time with Barbara so far. She gets quite a bit to do, of course. Her and Ian both get put into slavery. However, she kind of gets bought and then is almost kind of a, is in a family, a very rich family. You know, it turns out to be, you know, with Nero and all that. And she's kind of working as a servant, but it's a very different environment to what, you know, a lot of these slaves would generally get put into. So I think she does a really good job with that, Jacqueline Hill. Like I say, Barbara's not one of my favourite companions at the moment. However, I think this story is the best I've seen her so far. When we're talking about William Russell as Ian Chesterton, well, I mean, I really love Ian. Once again, in this story, he's at some of his best in this story from what I've seen him in. However, I do like Ian quite a lot all the time. He's a companion that really grows on me the more I see of him. And yeah, I think in this one, you know, him going through all that stuff, you know, rowing that boat when they're being, you know, captured, and he's just having to work as a slave. I just think he goes through a hell of a lot of stuff in this one. And yeah, all up, Ian is just a great character. And then of course we have Maureen O'Brien as Vicki. This is Vicki's second appearance, her first of course being in The Rescue, and I think she's pretty good here. I do quite like Vicki. She doesn't get a whole lot to do in this story. She's kind of just following the Doctor around for most of it. She doesn't do that much. It's more of an Ian and Barbara story, which is funny really when you consider this is her first proper outing and we don't really do much with Vicki at all. She's just kind of there with the Doctor, but I mean, you know, for what she does do, she is good. Alright, so we go on to the good and the bad, starting off with the good. The Doctor pretending to be Maximus, the musician, Maximus Petulius, or whatever his name was. Yeah, I just think that's really funny, you know, they find this dead musician on the side of the road. He picks up the instrument, the lyre, which is the instrument he picks up, and then somebody comes around and he pretends to be this guy, just because of the situation he's been put in. He's like, yes, I am this Maximus guy, and it just kind of goes from there. And, you know, is a rather interesting thing. Bit of a stupid thing for the Doctor to do, but you can kind of understand why he went for it. And yeah, I mean, it's just, I think he does he's very funny in the role. You know, pretending to be this guy, pretending to play the music and just all that sort of stuff. He's just really, really good. I do quite like that. The Doctor fighting the assassin, like I said before, when they get taken to Rome, this assassin tries to kill him, and he just fights him off, and it's just really funny seeing William Hartnell, this old man, you know, fighting off this young guy who's obviously, I don't know, been trained as an assassin really, but you know, he's going out there to kill people. From what I can tell, he's just another one of the slaves who got bought, and he's now kind of being told, gets told what to do, and that generally involves killing people by the looks of it. But yeah, I just find it quite amusing seeing William Hartnell wafting his arms around and smacking this guy on the floor. Pretty funny. Ian and Barbara getting put into slavery. Honestly, it's probably my favourite part of the story. I reckon the stuff with Ian especially, with that other guy, what was his name? I've got it written down here somewhere. Delos. Ian and Delos, their moments of them, you know, doing the slavery stuff, being slaves, that's probably my favourite part of the whole story. I just think it's the most interesting. There's just the most going on there, the most interesting stuff going on. So yeah, all that stuff's good. And like I said, with Barbara as well, I quite like what she gets to do in this story as well. So all that slavery stuff is good. Well, I say good on a you know, watching standpoint, it's good, of course. So I'm not insinuating that slavery is good, don't worry. The Doctor silently playing the lyre, I like that. You know, he gets out the first time of playing the instrument when Nero says, play us some music. He gets out of it by saying, well, I wouldn't want to, you know, sound better than you. I wouldn't want to be better than you, Nero, so I don't think I should really, you know, do too much here, and he kind of gets away with that. And then this time he has to play again at the dinner, and he says, oh, only the people with the best, the faintest of hearing, the best possible musical ear will be able to hear this music because it's so magical or whatever. And of course nobody wants to own up that they can't hear it, so they just all kind of pretend that they can hear it. That's a genius thing. I think that's just genius. So I really, really like that. Ian and Delos fighting the guards. Yeah, basically Ian finally finds Barbara, but they make him and Delos, the friend he's been working with this whole time to escape, they make him fight each other. They fight each other for a bit and then realise, nah, we're going to go after the guards, and they start attacking all the guards. There ends up being this massive fight. How Ian manages to kind of fend off like 2 guards at once, who I'm guessing are trained, I mean they're guards, they've got to be trained in sword fighting and stuff. How he manages to, you know, kind of wield them off, I don't really understand, but you know, kind of take that with a pinch of salt and just throw it to the side. But yeah, I just think it's a really fun actiony scene. I do love having some action scenes in these classic Doctor Who stories because you don't get them too often, and yeah, it's just really cool to see that. The Doctor basically starting the Great Fire of Rome, I think, was a pretty interesting thing, you know. The Doctor doesn't want to meddle with time, but he did kind of start the Great Fire of Rome, a big historical event, so I quite like it when they do stuff like that. I find it very funny and interesting. And then finally, Ian and Barbara's fridge jokes. This was something that was brought up right at the start. So when Ian and Barbara by themselves in the villa, when the Doctor and Vicki have already gone off to Rome, Barbara makes a joke to Ian saying, oh, just go get, I'd like to have some ice in my drink, just go get some ice from the fridge, from the freezer. And he's like, oh yep. He starts to walk away, and then he's like, wait a minute, we're in Rome in 64 AD. I think it's a little while until the fridges and freezers come into place or invented. I just think that's a really funny moment. And then right at the end, it happens again. I can't remember exactly. It's Ian that says something to Barbara, say, oh, can you go get this from the fridge? She starts walking away, and then she's like, wait a minute, you just pulled that same joke on me from earlier. I just thought that was a nice little continuity, funny thing there, and I did actually quite laugh when I first heard the joke. Alright, so on to the bad. There's only really one bad thing I have to say about this episode, and that is Nero. He is a bit goofy and creepy in this one. Now, I get that that's kind of what they're going for. Like I said, this is a more comedic episode, especially for the time in the 60s. It is a very much more comedic episode. But Nero is a bit too silly. I think he could have played it down a little bit. The guy that played him, Derek Francis, I don't know if he was told, I'm guessing he was told to be quite goofy and silly, but I think it kind of pushes the boundaries a bit too much. It's almost a bit too silly, a bit pantomime in a way, and I don't mind it, but it does kind of get on my nerves a bit after a while. The main thing that I found quite annoying in this one was the moment where Barbara, she's only just got to Rome, and Nero starts chasing her around the house, basically, around his house, and it's creepy and it's just goofy, and it goes on for a bit too long. And I was like, at first I was just like, okay, this is just a bit weird, and then towards the end I was like, it's actually a bit uncomfortable. It's a bit the faces he makes and all that sort of stuff. I mean, props on the guy, I guess, good acting, but it is a bit creepy. And I couldn't really remember much of that stuff from my previous watch of this episode. But yeah, when I got around to it this time, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a little bit too much. Other than that, though, there's not really anything bad I have to say. I think the story is maybe a little bit slow in places, especially, like I said, that episode, I don't know if it's episode 2 or 3, where, I think it's episode 2, where Nero is chasing Barbara around. That episode's a little bit slow. Felt like there was a lot of padding in there, and it is slow in other points. I think it could have gone a bit quicker. The Doctor and Vicki just kind of getting to Rome and, you know, doing stuff could have gone a bit quicker. I felt like that was a little bit slow, but it's not terrible. So for a rating, I'm going to give The Romans a 9 out of 10. I actually thought I was going to give this a 10 out of 10 when going into this one, because I remembered watching it originally and I remembered really liking it, and I was thinking, yeah, this is probably my favourite William Hartnell story. It's not, though. I think The 10th Planet is still currently my favourite William Hartnell that I've watched. This one gets a 9 out of 10. It comes in second so far. Yeah, there just are things about it that I think I am a little bit too generous with my scores sometimes, so I'm trying to wind it back a little bit. I'm changing a few of my scores as well. I have like a ranking list of all the episodes. Now and again I do tweak the scores, so I thought a 9 out of 10 would be a pretty good rating for this one. But anyway, that's going to be it for this episode, this video, guys. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe. Go follow me on Twitter, link is in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next video.